Hi, Chop. Welcome to the Desi Crypto Show. This show is where we talk to global projects about what they're doing, the trends in crypto, and we also talk about how India and Indians can contribute in the crypto ecosystem. So, why don't you start with a little introduction about yourself?
Yeah, cool. So I'm Chop. I'm a contributor at NFTX. I am an anon, so I don't have a camera, unfortunately. So sorry, you can't look at my face. No, I'm a contributor at NFTX, and I essentially help them out on anything that is not development related.
Awesome. So before we get into what NFTX is, I want a small definition from you, like what are NFTs? How would you describe them to someone new?
What are NFTs? NFTs are tokens which act as a proof of ownership, based on the blockchain. So it's anything that's non-fungible, meaning you can't divide it and it's unique. The token, the NFT, non-fungible token, shows your ownership of that thing. So it could be like a JPEG or a MP4 or a certificate of a house, whatever, everything that's non-fungible.
Okay, interesting. And why should we care about NFTs? Why are they important?
You should care about NFTs because they're super exciting. They're important because it's the first time that you can truly show that only you own a digital item or have ownership of a digital thing, which everybody agrees you own. So like, for example, if you are a photographer, you can't really show that you are the real owner of a photo you took. As soon as you upload it to the internet, anybody could tell or say, yo, I made that photo, and you're having a very hard time to showcase that you actually are the creator. Where if you launch it as an NFT, it shows, like it's the blockchain. Everybody reached consensus that you are the person that minted it. If you sold it, everybody reached consensus that you sold it to someone else and that someone else now owns that digital thing.
Right. That's pretty interesting. So I will ask you about the platform NFTX. How would you describe NFTX?
Well, in one sentence, it's a protocol to create index funds around NFTs on Ethereum at the moment.
That's awesome. So I have two questions. Maybe you can answer them together. Why do we need index funds for NFTs? And the second question is, what kind of index funds are present on your platform?
Yeah. Okay, so why do you need index funds? Well, there's multiple reasons for NFTX to exist and have value. One reason for having an index fund that has NFTs as collateral is that it opens up a much broader market for people to have a position in a asset class like NFTs, which they wouldn't be able to have otherwise. So lately, NFTs, especially like the original projects like CryptoPunks or like people recently also, they're selling non-fungible things. So you can't really divide it or fractionalize it. So you have to have a lot of money to own one of these things, which isn't in reach for everybody. Like probably a very small minority can actually get involvement in that. So from that aspect, it's great to have indexes or like funds that hold those NFTs as collateral, but can then be fractionalized to have a investment possibility. Plus also it brings much more liquidity to the NFT markets, where I come from a long history in DeFi, which is known for its like money Legos, building blocks, and shuffling liquidity around, where the NFT scene is it's really hard to liquidate your NFT essentially. You always have to find a buyer. Like if you offer an NFT, if everybody says, yo, I don't want to buy your NFT, then it's effectively worth nothing. Where with a protocol like NFTX, there is a liquidity pool. So if you want to sell, you can sell. It'll move the market a little, but there's liquidity for you to sell into, or the opposite, buy NFTs directly.
Wow, that's very interesting. So just to give you an example, like how you mentioned, like if I want to own a part of CryptoPunk, I could do it via NFTX, right? I don't need to purchase an entire punk.
Yes, that's right. So right now we have several CryptoPunk indices. The biggest one is called Punk Basic. It's, well, that's what it says. It's like the biggest fund of CryptoPunks, the basic ones. So the lowest valuable ones are all in that pool. And if you would want like position into the CryptoPunks ecosystem without actually owning one punk, because that's quite expensive at this point in time, you could, get a fraction of a punk fund through SushiSwap or Uniswap or any exchange, really.
Wow, that's very interesting because like people who are starting out who don't know much, or maybe they don't have a huge sum of capital, they could just buy like $100 worth of punk and see value appreciate if the project goes even bigger, right? So
Yeah, that's
that's
right.
that's pretty cool. So let's just talk about some projects which are there on your platform, and let's just give an idea to people what kind of projects are actually there in
Yes.
NFT space and why do they matter. As
Okay, so we mentioned CryptoPunks. It's essentially the first like NFT there is. There's a bunch of others that first, before I go into this, like NFTX is fully permissionless, meaning that you don't really need the team or like the DAO to make a fund. Anybody that knows how to do a couple transactions on Ethereum can set up a fund for any NFT that they own, be a liquidity provider for it, or just set up a fund and distribute the tokens that way. It's fully permissionless. So yeah, just want to get that out there. A couple projects that we bootstrapped essentially as a DAO, because NFTX, the project is built by a DAO, so a decentralized autonomous organization, meaning it's mainly like the community that builds the products and the organization itself. We act as a liquidity provider for some. So CryptoPunks is one, Cryptokitties is another one. So that's very like collectible oriented. Then another very interesting one, in my opinion, is the Axie Infinity fund. Axie Infinity is like probably a popular game in Indian region too. It's like a play to earn game, both on mobile and desktop, where essentially it's a turn-based card game similar to Hearthstone, like where you fight against an opponent based on your cards. You draw cards and you can play them, and the cards are based on which Axies are in your team. So they're like little monsters which you can collect and breed. And we have a fund which is backed by, because there's some like more valuable collectible Axies like the Origin Mystic ones that are a bit more expensive. So we thought, okay, like if people, it's cool to play the game, but if people also want to have like financial exposure to more rare Axies, then an index fund is probably the way to go, because just buying one costs a lot of money. So that's another one. Like I can go on.
that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had Zeus on the show, and like we did an episode with him. So
yeah.
it's pretty interesting.
He's great.
Yes. So, Chop, I wanted to ask you, where do you think the future of NFT is? Like where we are going, or what is happening currently, which we should keep an eye on?
Yeah. So, well, I'm not from the future, so whatever I'm gonna say next is probably not gonna happen. But my view on the future of NFTs is that, like what I explained about what an actual NFT is, it's currently there's a lot of traction on NFTs in the like arts, collectibles, visual experiences category, but almost anything in life is non-fungible. So there's a very wide set of use cases that haven't really been tackled yet, such as my mortgage, like the ownership of my house, not my mortgage, the ownership of my house, ownership of myself, like myself, I could be put on an NFT, someone can buy me. Like all these type of things are gonna roll out as the infrastructure and the products, like the interfaces, mature. I think the current boom which is like, again, very like creative focused, is great because it attracts a lot of bright minds from the end user / consumer front. So like everybody knows, blockchain or any product that's Web3 always has this UI UX that's not optimal compared to Web 2. Everything is slow. Like there's mainly developers and not a lot of designers in the space. So I think it's great that there's such a emphasis on this like creator scene at the moment, because it attracts those type of people who know how users want to experience a product. And then when we have that, we can move into like other directions using the same technology. Yeah.
Pretty interesting. And how does NFTX play a role in it? So I just want to understand what are your roadmaps, and what do you plan to do ahead?
So NFTX, you can split us in half essentially. So we're both a protocol DAO, but also a end user DAO. So there's things running in parallel essentially. On the protocol level, it's very generalistic. The use cases I just said are all applicable to NFTX. So we don't try to push ourselves into a certain vertical. We're just open for anything, and we're building to be like used for anything really. Right now, we do focus mainly on like these collectible NFT series, because that's where the demand is and where the product market fit lies today. But like in a year or 5 years from now, I wouldn't be able to tell where we're at. Like in general, I believe very much in that roadmaps and like 3-year, 5-year visions in DeFi just don't work. You're going to work towards something that's probably not even around anymore. Like if you compare 2017 or 16 ICO periods versus today, like yield farming wasn't a thing back then. So you couldn't really make a roadmap that would anticipate those type of dynamics in the market. So I think it's best to just focus on like 6 months max at this point in time. And we're building mainly for that. So protocol is very much being optimized to be useful both for what I just described, but also to attract more capital. Like on the liquidity side of things, there's no rev share at the moment in our protocol. So we're building to also capture revenues on minting and redeeming, and then flow that back to people that provide liquidity. That's all very technical, and your audience isn't technical.
Sure. Like, so if someone is providing liquidity, they get a part of the revenue as well, right? Like, so you're incentivized to participate in the network. That means it grows the network.
Yes. And then on the product side, we kind of lack a great user experience, like almost any project. So I just appointed like a squad a few weeks ago to join the DAO. So this like DAO has super huge community, but also a couple people, including myself, that do a mostly like a day job essentially for DAO. So I work every day for the DAO. Alex, like the founder, does, and now those squads also are, and they're very focused on creating an entire new front end for everything essentially that interacts with the protocol. So that's launching soon too, which is great.
That's quite interesting. I have last question or a statement from you. What would you like to say to Indians who could be students, artists, investors, developers? How do they get into blockchain space or into NFT space? And what advice would you give them?
That's a very broad question, but I have a couple. So first off, whatever role you're in, so whether it's development or like marketing or anything really, what I experienced over like the last 4 or 5 years working in crypto is that everything is very open, and everybody is very open to assist and help and like include you as part of the community, which I think is the greatest thing of the DeFi and crypto scene, is that it's so inclusive. So if you want to get started, the best thing you can do is finding projects that you really like a hobby, like finding projects that you would see as a hobby if you would do things for it, and then create value for that project without expecting anything and seeing it as a hobby. And then if you deliver enough value, people will notice and you will probably get a role. So that's like to get back on how I joined NFTX. I'm not a founder. So Alex is the main founder of NFTX. I have a broad background in branding and marketing, communication, and anything really. So what I thought was, okay, I see this founder of a project that I think is really interesting because I come from DeFi. I'm kind of interested, like I'm speaking in like November last year. I'm kind of interested in the NFT scene, but I don't really know how it would work together with DeFi. Here's this project that tries to solve this like problem I noticed too. So let me just help him out on anything except for the things that I can't do, which is developing. Like I can't read a line of code. I see a lot of contracts, but like I wouldn't be able to replicate them. So I accept that. I help him out. That was my position. Like I'll just help him on whatever he needs, and we'll see. And I think a month later or two, I got proposed by the community to be the first core member in a paid position, and I kind of quit my day job because of that, alongside a couple other reasons to go too deep in. So yeah, really, like if you see projects that give you energy, just become part of the community, do whatever you feel is best for the project, and you'll get noticed.
Wow, that's an awesome story, right? Like you
Yeah.
have to find something, add value to it without expecting anything in return, and things will work out because crypto, I've seen it's a very warm community. Everyone is so welcoming, as long as you're eager to learn. So
Yes, 100%.
yeah, that's a pretty good advice. Yes, so that's all from my side. Is there anything else you would like to mention?
Is there anything else I would like to mention? Yeah, join our community if you like NFTX
Of
and
course, of course.
and provide value, of course. But yeah,
So
aside from the pitching, no, I think like this year is gonna be great again for the NFT and DeFi scene. One thing I do have to tell everybody is that I come from a period where the market wasn't that great. Like since last year, 2020, the market has been kind of going up only with a few dips. But like if you invested last year, you're probably doing well at the moment. There's also gonna be times, like always, where things don't go that well from a like an investment point of view. And what I want to tell everybody is that as long as you don't obsess about the downward cycle too much and just keep delivering value regardless of what the price of a token does, or like what people tell you you're doing wrong because the token price goes down, that's 99 out of 100 times not true, and it's just based on emotions. So yeah, believe in yourself. If you've been shown delivering value and people appreciate it right now, then doing the same in a bear market is like equally valuable, even though it wouldn't be reflecting in the token price, which like it's all
yeah,
long term.
yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree. It's harder to do it in a bear market, but it's still worth it.
Yeah,
So
mad respect to everybody that's still around from like the 2016 and even before, like when Ethereum didn't exist. Like if you're still around from back then, big respect.
so I will add on all your social media handles, your website, your Discord
Yes.
in the description box. Thank you so much, Chop. It's lovely talking to you.
No problem. It was fun, man.